All right, so in this video, I'm gonna go over a few ways to cut the cherries out and add layers. So I just love these cherries. I was just having so much fun. You could piece it all together. If that's the case, I recommend cutting a base out first and then piecing it together. So let's go ahead and, we have a lot of this left. I'm gonna use this. And let's go ahead and trace a cherry out. And then I'll show you kind of how you can add layers to the top of it. So typically I will trace it out like this, and then I'll cut it out. Mary Snyder, creative partner, she actually shared this, and I thought it was a brilliant idea. So when she wants to add other layers to the top, what she actually does is she'll piece it together before she cuts it out. So then she only cuts it out once. And so let me kind of show you that. So I'm gonna add some adhesive to the leaf because we're gonna make a green, and I wanna make some red cherries. I'm gonna leave the stem cream here. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually just trim a piece of paper that kind of fits right there. I'm gonna curve this just a little bit to make that how I want it to be. Okay. And then I'll do the same with my cherries. Kind of trim off a piece of Is that enough? Nope. All right. Kind of get it nice and big enough scrap here. Right there where the tip of that goes. Perfect. And we'll do one more. You know, I've done it both ways. I've done it where I just kind of trace the pieces out afterwards, and then definitely doing it this way, you're gonna have to come back and piece it together. But I personally love the look of the layers. So it's fun to kind of play around with different ways that maybe works best for you. So this of course is just one of the ways. And then probably what I'd have to do is trace that again onto the design, and I'm just going to level it, match it back up where my stems were in the middle. For fun, I think I'm going to show you guys the other way, since we can compare it, and then you can kind of decide what works for you. Like I said, this was a really good idea. Kind of after doing it though, I feel like for me, probably the other way is faster. It is nice to just have to cut it out once though. So as you can see, we're just going to cut this out. And then of course we'll need to clean up those edges with a little bit of ink on those. Want that to be as okay. Boy, what is that inking? It makes such a difference, doesn't it? It's gonna really clean up those edges. All right, so I'm gonna show you the other way. That was a little bit more work for me personally, but I did want to share that with you guys because I think it's definitely one of those things that is a preference. So I'm going to trace another one out for my base. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the template to trace out each of the components. And the way I do that is I just lay it onto the paper, and then trace those out. So you can do one in green. I'll use this on that for my leaf. And trace up around that. Okay. And then you'll just want to, wherever you didn't, just connect those dots. Wherever you didn't trace, connect those dots. Like so. And then we'll cut the other ones out and piece it together by layering it on top. And you can do some cute pop-up. In this case, like I might pop up these cherries a little bit. On these. So you just want to kind of follow that line and trace it out. Now, here's the downside of doing it this way is that sometimes you have to trim up the edges. So your base will maybe not match 100% the top layer. And I'll show you what I mean once I get this piece cut out. Continue, cut, cut, cut. You do want to slow around this middle part when cutting out the cherries here. So we're just gonna slow down a little bit on that. Okay, so let me go ahead and ink these top layers and then we're gonna pop it on top. Oh, I actually did a pretty good job on that one. Occasionally what you'll notice is that you'll have some of your background show. And what I recommend for doing with that, let me ink the inside and get rid of those pencil marks, is you could just trim it up or blend it with some ink. So I'm gonna add some pop-up for our cherries layers here. Okay, and let me kind of see how that levels out. See how that kind of shows just a little bit? So you'll want to just trim up those edges. Basically, I do love a little bit of pop-up. It always just, it's such a simple thing to do, and yet it really adds such a satisfying effect to the finished result. And then we'll go ahead and do our little leaf here. And I'm trying to decide if I want that to pop up or be closer to it. I think I'll leave that one. I'm going to have to trim up. You can see it already that it's off a little bit. So again, just trim those edges a little bit around that base. And then you can blend it again with some ink on those. And there we go.